So I want to jump on here and do a quick little video about something that not a lot of people talk about, and that is session documentation. I kind of did like a quick little short on it not too long ago, but this has helped me a lot whenever it comes to like tracking. Like it helps a lot for management. Like whenever you have the same artist come back over and over and over again, having a system put together to where you'd use the same mic pre's and you use the same settings, so it's a little bit of that recall, but it's also part of like tracking, having a space to put all of your lyrics for your songs in, your chord charts. Like if you hire musicians out, like having all of that paperwork organized is something nobody ever talks about, but is really important. I think it is. I do it all the time. So if you have artists that if you're going to sign a contract to, you can, here's a copy of a contract that I just signed the other day. Like you want to have all of that in one place. I have it in two places. I have hard copies in a folder, basically, and I have like my input sheets and like lyrics and all that fun stuff, like in a hard copy. And then as sessions go by, or we make notes on lyrics or whatever, I also scan it into a Google Drive, and then everything is on that drive as a backup. So if I lose something, I can reprint it out and I still have it. So I make an artist folder on my drive, and then each artist, and then go in by song, and then update the songs there. Or if you have a whole album you're working on, or a project or whatever it might be, having that information is really handy in the studio to be able to come back and look and see what you did. Maybe you want to change something, you want to reference that. I have one artist that we've been working on a song together for almost a year, and so he may come back to me a month or two later and doesn't like this, and so we got to reset up a vocal session. Not a problem, because I have the notes from it. If not, you get inconsistent sounds. Did I use that microphone? Did I use this microphone? What was my preamp set at? What was my routing on my board? Like all of that information, is not tracked anywhere. So if I could go back and give somebody that's coming up like some inspiration, or maybe it's just some good information, is just have a process for how you track everything with paperwork. It's a little extra step. It's not always the most fun thing to do, but it's going to save you in the long run. And it's also going to save you for, I really liked the sound that I did for that artist. You can go back, or I didn't like the sound that I did, and then you can kind of reference stuff. Your chords, or maybe you're going to change something in the song or whatever it might be, or you have multiple sessions going on. You need to see what you did for that, or to go back and check out. So I know whenever I didn't do that in the past, I've always I really wish I had done that and not screwed myself over. So that's one thing that I want to talk about. And if you're interested, I may end up putting a link on to these in the description. So let me find it. You can tell I prepared today, can't you? So this is a copy of my input sheets. It's really simple, instrument, mic, snake, rack, board, Pro Tools, notes. So it'd be like kick in or kick out or whatever. The mic, D112 or SM Beta 52. And then the snake, if it's going to go into a sub snake, or what input it's going to. And then all of my XLRs have numbers on them. So like this one, you can see has a number 17. So I know that I can put 17 on there. So then whenever, I'm at my snake and, I'm hitting the kick drum and I'm not getting the right input, I can check this sheet and look at my backflow and oh, number 17, the cable number 17 wasn't actually plugged into 1. It was plugged into, 11 or something. And that's happened, it happens a lot. And so, it doesn't have to be set up how mine is. You can do colors or whatever, and it doesn't matter. That just helps communicate things. And then, the rack, if it's going to go into different inputs on a rack, if you have a sub patch bay or whatever, what's your input on your board and any notes. So like if I had tom mics, I use the 179s on toms a lot. So I'll put on like, hypercardioid, negative 12 dB pad or 20 dB pad, whatever it is. And then, any notes I have on the pre's or something like that, I'll put on here that I think is important. And so the other thing I want to show you guys is actually in the session. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit of the template that I use here. And so I just created this on Google Sheets, and basically this is like what I use whenever I'm trying to track everything for that session. Some people use a piece of notebook paper, which is fine, or just a notebook in general. But I have like multiple projects going on, and this has some other stuff in it as well. So usually whenever I know an artist is serious, they pay their deposit, I'll start this whole process of setting up the Pro Tools session, setting up their file in my Google Drive, getting them an actual folder, and getting the stuff from them, like if they've got chords and lyrics, and like gathering all of that information whenever I work with an artist. So one of the things that I have here is this song info template, basically. So it's got some basic things like sample rate, versus I use 48K all the time now, so it's kind of irrelevant. But if I ever change, or something like maybe I'm on a piece of hardware or something where it's 96 or either which way, it's just good to know there. I can go before I open up my Pro Tools session what the sample rate is. So I'll have the song, Hee Haw, artist JFK. This is totally made up, by the way. Some BPM if they know it, any reference tracks that they have, key factors. This is just information I try and get from them during the phone call. And I don't always get it. Sometimes they just don't have that info. Not a big deal. My planned start date, my planned completion day, just a little bit of a tracker on this portion here. And so we're going to stay on this one side for right now. Notes from artist. So usually this is where it's like, this song was inspired by some person, or if they want a key thing, they want to hire a fiddle player in this case, or guitar player, or whatever it might be, like some key things that they requested during our initial call of setting up the project for them. And then so I'll have Pro Tools session revisions. So usually 1.0 is my session setup, so it's always my blank slate, whether it's I'm using a template or whatever it might be, just getting the session ready to go from what I already know. And so I make notes here, so you can see the kind of the expansion of how the session has gone from setting it up to a recording session, which was like our demo scratch recording session. It's got the date on there, re-recorded, and I'm not sure what we recorded. I probably could have been more detailed on some of that, but needs bass. These are kind of just notes for myself. So at the time I probably knew what it was or whatever, but these are just notes for you to say what was like the key thing or the key change between 1.1 and 1.2. So we re-recorded. I think what happened in this is just a project I changed some of the info but left some stuff too. So I think what happened here is the acoustic guitars, something was wrong with the acoustic guitars or whatever it might be. It just didn't come out right, so I had to have them come back to re-record something. So that's why we re-recorded it. One here needed bass, so everything was done. I just needed to track bass, and then so the next one added bass, e-guitars not done, just giving myself some notes here. Another really important thing that I've incorporated the last year or so is this section here. This is like my timekeeping section, and it's just a simple formula in here where I can track my time that I've put into this session. So this helps me later on as I go in and price things, like how much am I going to charge for this track? Well, right now I'm sitting at just under 10 hours working on this track. So how much do you want to get paid for this? You do the math, and then you can, time that out. So, and you basically, I just clock in, I clocked in at this time, the session was done. This was our project creation, clocked in at this time is when I did the bass and e-guitar, different things go on. and it just continuously adds up your time that you've spent here. So an hour here, an hour there, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, this was probably a lot of mixing, so it was 2 hours and 32 minutes. More mixing, fiddle and lap, an hour and 30 minutes. So, doing these little things of clocking in and clocking out, checking stuff and mixing, you can track your total time. And that is huge because, you may charge somebody $200-$300 to do a track, but you just spent 10 hours. Well, you're paying yourself $3 an hour, like that, or that's trash, So, you've got to make sure that you're staying up on your, and this is also a check for yourself where you're recording, or whatever it is, and you can see like, hey, it took me 2 hours to mix this section here. So maybe, as I get better, I can look at this and see my mixing time is dropping. I'm getting faster at mixing, getting faster at doing this and faster at doing that, or tracking acoustic guitar, took an hour or whatever. So like you can build some goals for yourself. Like, I want to get better at this. Well, now you know where you are, where you're at with that, and you can build that matrix of being better and getting better at it. So those are the really important to every single session that I have. Basically, I have a phone call with the artist. They contact me. They say, hey, I want to know more. I'm interested in working with you. We kind of shoot off some basic prices usually, and then we get into the weeds of talking about like what actually needs to be done, what they want to have done, and then all this paperwork starts, where I'm getting chords, I'm getting lyrics if they have them. I'm setting up my Pro Tools session, like I'm setting up my song info template, and I'm uploading and updating everything and scanning stuff into their Drive folder, getting an actual folder, and that way everything is organized and ready to go. So whenever the artist comes in, I've got stuff set up. I already know ahead of time, like this weekend, which is kind of the whole inspiration by this, I've got a tracking session for electric guitars. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get one of these sheets, and I'm going to start listing out everything we need for the tracking session. And it's just a general guide. It may change, something may go differently or whatever, but that's my starting point, and then I will change as we go, make updates on that when I'm done with that session, and I'll clock in when we start and make all my notes and scan that in at the end of the day. My Pro Tools session is ready to go. Like, all of this kind of helps keep you structured, keep you organized and ready to go. So when the artist shows up, they're paying to be there. Time is money, and you are organized, you look professional, and you impress your clients, and they keep coming back. And that's kind of the goal, is to keep this running, to keep this moving. So that's kind of the inspiration of this short little video today. So if you have any questions, if you're interested in this template or my input sheets, let me know. I might end up making like a Patreon or something to drop it into. So if you're interested in something like that, please comment below and say something like interested or whatever, or interested's fine. So just comment below and say interested, and I will put up a Patreon to put that into. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys watching.